The galaxy had changed, and so had humanity. The days of being dismissed as primitive were long behind them. Earth now stood as a beacon of resilience and innovation, its name spoken with respect, or at least caution, across the stars. The Dreadnought fleet remained a symbol of strength, patrolling the borders and ensuring peace. But beyond the ships and weapons, it was humanity's spirit that truly defined their place in the cosmos. Emily Dawson stood on the observation deck of the Eclipse Asterisk, gazing out at the endless expanse of space. Her mind wandered back to the early days of Project Aegis, the sleepless nights, the setbacks, the moments of doubt. She thought of Nathan Brooks, who had poured his heart into perfecting the fleet's systems, and Rachel Meyer, whose quiet determination had kept the engines running smoothly. They had all come so far together. Jacob Hayes, now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, walked up beside her. "You did it," he said softly, breaking the silence. "All of you." Emily shook her head with a small smile. "We did it. Every person who believed in this project played a part." Jacob nodded, his eyes reflecting the distant glow of a nearby star. "It's strange, isn't it? A year ago, I was standing in front of those same empires, begging for scraps of recognition. Now, we're sitting at the table, making decisions that affect the entire galaxy." "It's not just us," Emily replied. "Look at what we've built, not just the fleet, but the alliances, the trade routes, the friendships. Humanity isn't alone anymore." Indeed, Earth had become a hub of activity. Colonies thrived under newfound protection, and trade flourished as merchants from across the galaxy sought partnerships. Scientists collaborated on projects that pushed the boundaries of knowledge, while artists and musicians shared their work, fostering cultural exchange. Humanity's creativity and adaptability inspired others, proving that strength wasn't always measured in firepower. Admiral William Grant retired shortly after the summit, passing the torch to Sarah Blake, who took command of the fleet with quiet confidence. Under her leadership, the captains continued to train and innovate, preparing for whatever challenges might arise. Though tensions with the empires still lingered, the fleet served as a deterrent, keeping potential threats at bay. Lila Torres and her rebel network remained steadfast allies, often acting as scouts or intermediaries in regions where Earth's influence was still growing. Their partnership highlighted a key lesson humanity had learned. Strength came not just from within, but from unity with others. For Jacob, diplomacy became both a challenge and a passion. He navigated the complex politics of the Galactic Council, advocating for fairness and cooperation. His speeches often echoed Emily's earlier words, that humanity sought peace but would defend itself if needed. Slowly but surely, he earned the trust of other species, bridging gaps that had once seemed insurmountable. As time passed, the scars of past conflicts began to heal. Children grew up hearing stories of the Dreadnought fleet and the heroes who had dared to stand against overwhelming odds. These tales became legends, reminders of what humanity could achieve when united by purpose and hope. One evening, Emily found herself back in her office, staring at a model of the Eclipse Asterisk displayed on her desk. She thought about the journey ahead, uncertain, unpredictable, yet full of possibility. The galaxy was vast, and there were still mysteries to uncover, challenges to face, and dreams to chase. But for now, humanity had earned its place among the stars. The road had been long and fraught with danger, but they had risen above every obstacle. The three empires had underestimated them once. They wouldn't make that mistake again. As the sun set over Earth's skies, people looked up with pride, knowing they had claimed their spot in the universe. Humanity wasn't perfect, but it was resilient, resourceful, and ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, they had proven that even the smallest light could shine brightly in the vastness of space, and that light would guide them forward, toward a brighter future. The aftermath of the fleet's demonstration rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave. The three empires, once dismissive of humanity, now scrambled to adjust their strategies. Diplomatic envoys from the Krylos Dominion, the Zentari Collective, and the Vorin hegemony arrived at Earth's doorstep once more, this time with a different tone. Their arrogance had softened, replaced by cautious respect. Jacob Hayes stood in the center of a grand conference hall on Earth, flanked by Emily Dawson and Admiral Grant. The room was filled with representatives from across the galaxy, many of whom had come to witness humanity's formal induction into the Interstellar Council. For Jacob, it was a moment of vindication after months of struggle and humiliation. He no longer felt like an outsider pleading for scraps of recognition. He walked among equals. "We welcome Earth as a sovereign member of the galactic community," announced the Council's chairperson, a tall, silver-skinned ambassador from the Zentari Collective. His voice carried a note of sincerity, though his eyes betrayed lingering unease. May this mark the beginning of cooperation and mutual growth. Applause echoed through the chamber, but Jacob remained focused. He knew the Empire's words were laced with careful diplomacy. Beneath the surface, tensions still simmered. The Krylos Dominion, in particular, eyed humanity warily, their pride wounded by the earlier defeat at Epsilon Delta. Yet for now, peace prevailed. A fragile, uneasy truce, held together by shared interests and mutual fear. Back at the orbital facility, Emily worked tirelessly to ensure humanity's newfound status didn't slip away. She knew the Dreadnought fleet was the backbone of Earth's power, but maintaining it required constant vigilance. Nathan Brooks and his team conducted routine upgrades, refining the ship's systems to stay ahead of potential threats. "We can't afford to get complacent," he reminded her one evening as they reviewed schematics. "If we stop improving, they'll catch up." Meanwhile, Admiral Grant coordinated joint exercises with allied factions, including Leela Torres and her rebel network. These partnerships strengthened not only Earth's defenses, but also its influence. Smaller species and colonies, inspired by humanity's rise, began reaching out for support and guidance. Earth found itself becoming a beacon of hope for those oppressed by the empires. But challenges remained. Spies and saboteurs continued to test humanity's resolve. Though security measures tightened, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the empires were plotting something bigger, something beyond simple espionage. Late one night, she confided her concerns to Jacob during a private meeting. "They're planning something," Emily said, her brow furrowed. "I don't know what yet, but they won't let us keep this position without a fight." Jacob nodded thoughtfully. "Then we prepare for whatever comes next. We've got allies now, resources we didn't have before. If they make a move, we'll be ready." Despite the uncertainty, progress was undeniable. Trade routes opened between Earth and neighboring systems, fostering cultural exchange and economic growth. Scientists shared knowledge with alien counterparts, leading to breakthroughs in medicine, energy, and technology. Humanity's contributions earned them grudging admiration, even from former critics. On a personal level, the team grew closer. Sarah Blake, once fiercely independent, found camaraderie among her fellow captains. Nathan and Rachel Meyer collaborated on projects that pushed the boundaries of innovation. And Jacob, who had once doubted his ability to lead, emerged as a symbol of resilience and determination. As weeks turned into months, the galaxy settled into a tense but stable rhythm. The Dreadnought fleet remained vigilant, patrolling borders and protecting colonies. Earth's leaders balanced diplomacy with defense, knowing full well that trust was fragile in the vastness of space. For Emily, every sunrise brought a mix of pride and caution. Humanity had risen from obscurity to stand shoulder to shoulder with the galaxy's powers. But she understood better than anyone that strength wasn't just about weapons or technology. It was about unity, adaptability, and the courage to face whatever came next. The stars above Earth shone brighter than ever, a reminder of how far they'd come and how much further they had to go. The time had come to solidify humanity's place in the galaxy. Admiral William Grant stood on the bridge of the Eclipse Asterisk, his gaze fixed on the vast expanse of stars outside the viewport. The Dreadnought fleet was assembled near the galactic core, a location chosen for its symbolic importance. This region of space was home to countless civilizations, and today, all eyes would be on Earth. Emily Dawson joined him, her expression calm but resolute. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. Grant nodded. "As ready as we'll ever be." The plan was bold, a grand display of strength and unity, designed to send a clear message to the three empires and the rest of the galaxy. The fleet would perform a series of maneuvers, showcasing their advanced technology and tactical precision. But more than that, they would demonstrate humanity's determination to stand firm against any threat. Jacob Hayes watched from a nearby command station, his heart pounding with anticipation. He had spent months building alliances and gathering support, and now those efforts were about to pay off. Representatives from smaller factions, including Leela Torres and her rebel allies, had gathered aboard various ships in the fleet. Their presence underscored humanity's growing influence and willingness to work with others who shared their vision. As the fleet moved into position, Sarah Blake took charge of coordinating the operation. Her voice echoed across the comms systems, steady and commanding. "All ships, prepare for Sequence 1. On my mark." The first phase began with the fleet forming a perfect diamond formation, their engines glowing brightly against the dark backdrop of space. Observers from neighboring systems watched in awe as the dreadnoughts executed intricate patterns, moving in sync like a single organism. The sight was breathtaking, a testament to human ingenuity and teamwork. Next came the weapons demonstration. Controlled bursts of energy lit up the void, targeting simulated threats with pinpoint accuracy. The EMP pulses disabled decoy drones without causing collateral damage, proving the fleet's ability to neutralize enemies while minimizing harm. Each action was calculated, precise, and undeniably impressive. Finally, Emily stepped forward to address the galaxy. Through a live holographic broadcast, her image appeared on screens across countless worlds. Her words were simple but powerful. "We are not primitive," she said, her voice carrying both strength and conviction. "We are not weak, and we will not be pushed aside. Humanity seeks peace, but we will defend ourselves if provoked. To those who respect us, we offer friendship. To those who threaten us, we issue a warning. Do not mistake our patience for fear." The transmission ended, leaving silence in its wake. Across the galaxy, reactions varied. Some species applauded humanity's rise, seeing it as an opportunity to challenge the dominance of the three empires. Others remained cautious, unsure how to respond to this unexpected shift in power dynamics. But one thing was certain: no one could ignore Earth anymore. Back aboard the Eclipse Asterisk, the crew erupted into cheers. Jacob clapped Nathan on the shoulder, grinning despite himself. "We did it," he said. "They're watching us now." Emily allowed herself a small smile, though her mind was already turning to the challenges ahead. The demonstration had been a success, but tensions with the empires were far from resolved. Still, she felt a renewed sense of hope. Humanity had proven its worth, not just through technology or military might, but through courage and resilience. Admiral Grant addressed the crew, his tone serious yet proud. "This is a victory, but it's only the beginning. Stay sharp, stay ready. Our fight isn't over." For now, however, the fleet basked in the glow of triumph. They had shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of. The Krylos Dominion, the Zentari Collective, and the Vorin hegemony had underestimated them once. They wouldn't make that mistake again. The summit may have ended with a fragile peace, but distrust lingered in the air. The three empires, Krylos Dominion, Zentari Collective, and Vorin hegemony, had agreed to recognize Earth's sovereignty, but their smiles were thin, their promises hollow. Emily Dawson knew better than to trust them completely. She had seen how quickly alliances could crumble under pressure, and she wasn't about to let her guard down. Back at the orbital facility, Nathan Brooks worked tirelessly to monitor communications from the empires. His team intercepted encrypted messages, piecing together fragments of conversations that hinted at unrest. One message stood out, A coded transmission from the Centauri Collective discussing internal sabotage. It didn't take long for Nathan to realize the target: humanity's Dreadnought fleet. "They're planning something," Nathan told Emily as they reviewed the data in her office. "Someone inside our ranks is feeding them information." Emily's blood ran cold. Betrayal was the last thing they needed right now. "Find the leak," she ordered, "and do it quietly." Meanwhile, Jacob Hayes continued his efforts to strengthen Earth's position. He traveled to neutral territories, meeting with smaller factions who had grown disillusioned with the Empire's rule. Among them was Leela Torres, the traitor who had helped him gather intelligence earlier. Together, they forged alliances with rebel groups and independent colonies dissatisfied with the status quo. These partnerships weren't just symbolic. They provided resources, intelligence, and even ships willing to fight alongside humanity if needed. But danger loomed closer to home. Unbeknownst to the team, an infiltrator had already slipped into the orbital facility. Posing as a maintenance worker, the spy worked methodically, planting devices designed to disable the Eclipse**''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''''"cripple humanity's flagship vessel, cripple humanity's flagship vessel, and leave the fleet vulnerable. It was Nathan who noticed the anomaly first. While running routine diagnostics on the Eclipse****, he spotted irregularities in the power grid. At first, he thought it was a glitch, but further investigation revealed tampering. Racing against time, Nathan traced the source to a small device hidden deep within the ship's engineering bay. He alerted Emily immediately. "We've got a problem," Nathan said, his voice tight with urgency. "Someone's trying to sabotage the fleet." Emily acted swiftly. She ordered a lockdown of the facility and initiated a thorough search for the infiltrator. Security teams scoured every corner, checking IDs and cross-referencing personnel records. Hours later, they found the spy attempting to escape through a cargo bay. The man resisted arrest, but he was quickly subdued. Under interrogation, the spy admitted to working for the Centauri Collective. His mission had been to disable the fleet and create chaos within Earth's ranks. But thanks to Nathan's quick thinking, the attempt had failed before any real damage could be done. The incident served as a wake-up call. Admiral Grant called an emergency meeting with Emily, Jacob, and the fleet's captains. "This proves we can't rely solely on diplomacy," he said grimly. "If we want to protect ourselves, we need stronger alliances and backup plans." Jacob suggested reaching out to the rebels and traitors he connected with. "They're ready to help," he explained. "Some of them hate the empires as much as we do. If we bring them into the fold, we'll have more than just our fleet to count on." Admiral Grant agreed, and soon, shipments of supplies and volunteers began arriving at hidden bases across human space. Leela herself led a convoy of modified freighters armed with makeshift weapons, pledging her support to the cause. "You saved my people once," she told Jacob. "Now it's our turn to return the favor." With these new allies bolstering their defenses, humanity's position grew stronger. The Dreadnought fleet remained the backbone of their strength, but the added support gave them flexibility and resilience. Emily watched as the pieces came together, her confidence growing. The empires might still see humanity as a threat, but they would soon learn that threats could come from unexpected places. For now, peace held, but everyone knew it was temporary. The galaxy was watching, waiting to see what humanity would do next. And when the moment came, they would be ready. The defeat at Epsilon Delta sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The Krylos Dominion, once confident in their superiority, now found themselves humiliated. Reports of the battle spread quickly, reaching even the farthest corners of the three empires. For the first time, whispers of doubt began to surface among their leaders. How had a species they dismissed as primitive managed to build such advanced ships? And more importantly, what would humanity do next? On Earth, celebrations erupted in cities and colonies alike. People gathered in streets and squares, cheering for the heroes of Operation Dawnbreaker. Images of the Dreadnought fleet filled screens across the planet, symbols of hope and resilience. Emily Dawson watched the festivities from her office, feeling a mix of pride and unease. The victory was significant, but she knew it wasn't the end. The empires wouldn't take this lying down. Jacob Hayes stood before the United Earth Defense Forces leadership, presenting his findings from the Outer Rim. "This changes everything," he said, pacing back and forth. "The empires are scared. They're calling emergency meetings, trying to figure out how to respond. We've got their attention now." Admiral William Grant nodded thoughtfully. "And that's exactly why we need to act carefully. One win doesn't mean we've won the war." Emily stepped forward, her tone serious. "They'll try diplomacy next. It's their way of saving face while buying time to regroup." As predicted, envoys from the three empires soon arrived on Earth, requesting negotiations. A formal summit was arranged aboard a neutral space station orbiting a distant star. Jacob, chosen once again to represent humanity, prepared for the meeting with a mix of determination and caution. This time, however, he wasn't walking into the chamber alone. Behind him stood the might of the Dreadnought fleet, a silent reminder of humanity's newfound strength. The summit room was tense. Representatives from the Krylos Dominion, the Zentari Collective, and the Vorin hegemony sat stiffly, their expressions unreadable. Jacob took his place at the table, flanked by Admiral Grant and Emily. For the first time, the human delegation commanded respect, or at least fear. The Krylos ambassador spoke first, his voice clipped. "Your recent actions have caused complications. We seek to resolve this matter peacefully." Jacob leaned forward, his eyes steady. "Peaceful resolution starts with mutual respect. You called us primitive and unworthy. Now you see we're neither. If you want peace, treat us as equals." The Zentari representative chimed in, attempting to sound conciliatory. "Perhaps there has been misunderstanding. We are willing to offer certain concessions." Emily interjected sharply. "Concessions aren't enough. We demand full recognition of our sovereignty. No interference in our affairs. No annexation of our colonies. And fair trade agreements moving forward." The room fell silent. The empires had never faced such bold demands from a species they considered beneath them. But with the Dreadnought fleet lurking just beyond their borders, they had little choice but to listen. Behind the scenes, Emily ensured the fleet remained on high alert. Nathan Brooks and his team monitored every transmission, ready to detect any signs of betrayal. Sarah Blake kept the captains prepared for immediate deployment if negotiations turned sour. Humanity's strength wasn't just in its words, it was in its readiness to back them up. As the discussions dragged on, tensions ran high. The empires tried to divide the human delegation, offering tempting deals in exchange for loyalty. But Jacob, guided by Emily's counsel, refused to be swayed. "We stand together," he declared firmly. "All of us, or none of us." By the end of the summit, the empires reluctantly agreed to recognize Earth's sovereignty and withdraw their forces from human space. Though the terms weren't perfect, they marked a turning point. Humanity had gone from being dismissed as weak to earning a seat at the galactic table. Back on Earth, the news sparked another wave of celebration. But Emily and Jacob knew better than to relax. The empires were cunning, and their retreat was likely temporary. Still, for now, humanity could breathe easier. They had proven their worth, and shown the galaxy that underestimating them was a mistake no one would make twice. Months of relentless work had paid off. The hidden orbital facility buzzed with activity as the final touches were made to humanity's Dreadnought fleet. 12 massive ships now stood ready, their sleek designs bristling with cutting-edge weapons and advanced shielding systems. Each vessel carried the hopes of a species determined to prove its worth in a galaxy that had dismissed it as insignificant. Emily Dawson walked along the observation deck, her eyes scanning the impressive lineup. The Eclipse Asterisk, the prototype that had passed its trials, led the formation, flanked by ships like the Aurora and the Vanguard. Their names symbolized humanity's resilience and ambition. Emily felt a surge of pride, but also the weight of responsibility. These ships weren't just machines. They were a declaration to the galaxy that Earth would no longer be ignored. Admiral William Grant joined her, his expression stern yet satisfied. "It's time," he said simply. "Operation Dawnbreaker begins." Emily nodded. "The crews are ready. They've trained hard for this moment." Grant turned to face her. "You've done well, Dr. Dawson. But remember, this is only the beginning. We got one shot to make this count." The operation was clear: defend Earth's colonies from the impending Krylos invasion, while demonstrating humanity's newfound strength. To lead the fleet, Admiral Grant assigned Sarah Blake as the overall commander. Her tactical brilliance and calm under pressure made her the obvious choice. Alongside her were captains like Daniel Cruz, a former colonial defense officer known for his courage, and Rachel Meyer, who brought her technical expertise to the bridge of the Aurora *. As the fleet assembled near Jupiter's orbit, the crews gathered for a final briefing. Emily addressed them from the command center aboard the Eclipse *, her voice steady and inspiring. "Out there, 3 empires think they can walk all over us. They think we're weak, primitive, and unworthy. Today, we show them how wrong they are. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every human being who ever looked up at the stars and dreamed of a better future." The room erupted in cheers, the tension replaced by a shared sense of purpose. Sarah stepped forward, addressing her fellow captains. "We've trained for this. We've prepared for this. Let's make sure the galaxy remembers our names." Hours later, the fleet received word that the Krylos forces had entered human space, heading straight for the colony at Epsilon Delta. The dreadnoughts moved swiftly, positioning themselves between the enemy and the vulnerable settlement. As the Krylos fleet approached, their arrogance was evident. They expected little resistance. But when the battle began, the invaders were caught completely off guard. The Eclipse * unleashed a barrage of EMP bursts, disabling several enemy ships before they could react. The other dreadnoughts followed suit, their precision strikes targeting critical systems while avoiding unnecessary destruction. Sarah coordinated the attack flawlessly, using the fleet's superior speed and agility to outmaneuver the slower Krylos vessels. The tide of the battle turned quickly. The Krylos, unprepared for such advanced technology, scrambled to regroup, but it was too late. One by one, their ships fell back, retreating into the void. The human fleet held its ground, victorious but disciplined, ensuring no civilian lives were lost in the process. Back on Earth, news of the triumph spread like wildfire. For the first time, humanity had faced one of the galaxy's dominant powers, and won. Observers from the Zentari Collective and the Vorin hegemony watched in stunned silence, their perceptions of Earth shifting overnight. Jacob Hayes, watching the reports from Earth's surface, allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had called them primitive. Now, it was starting to see them differently. Jacob Hayes sat alone in a dimly lit cabin aboard a small transport ship, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. The encounter with the Krylos scout had shaken him deeply. Though he hadn't been present during the incident, Emily's report left no room for doubt. The galaxy's powers were watching. Humanity's fragile secrecy was at risk, and Jacob knew he had to act quickly. His destination was the Outer Rim, a lawless region of space far from the influence of the 3 empires. It was a place where smugglers, traitors, and rebels thrived, untouched by the strict rules of the Galactic Council. Here, Jacob hoped to find allies, those who might sympathize with Earth's plight or see an opportunity to challenge the dominance of the Krylos Dominion, the Zentari Collective, and the Vorin hegemony. After days of travel, Jacob arrived at a bustling spaceport on the edge of a massive asteroid field. The air smelled of fuel and sweat, and the noise of haggling merchants filled the corridors. He made his way to a cantina known as the Rusty Anchor, a popular meeting spot for those who operated outside the law. Inside, the dim lighting revealed a crowd of rough-looking individuals, each nursing drinks and exchanging whispered deals. At a corner table sat Leela Torres, a trader Jacob had been introduced to through mutual contacts. She was younger than he expected, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Her reputation for being resourceful and well-connected made her the perfect person to help Jacob navigate this unfamiliar world. Jacob Hayes, Layla greeted him with a sly smile as he approached. "I heard you've got big plans." Jacob took a seat across from her, keeping his voice low. "Let's just say I'm here to level the playing field." Leela chuckled, leaning back in her chair. "You're not the first to come knocking with dreams of taking down the big boys. What makes you think you can pull it off?" Jacob hesitated, then decided honesty was his best approach. "Because we already have something they don't expect. A fleet of ships capable of matching theirs. We just need time to prepare." Leela raised an eyebrow, intrigued but cautious. "And what do you want from me?" "I need information," Jacob replied. "Anything about the Empire's weaknesses, their movements, their plans. If there's unrest or rebellion brewing, I want to know." Leela tapped her fingers on the table, considering his request. Finally, she nodded. "All right, I'll help, but not because I care about your little planet. You pay well, and I like seeing those empires squirm." Over the next few days, Leela introduced Jacob to a network of contacts, rebels, mercenaries, and disgruntled colonists who had grown tired of the Empire's oppression. Through these meetings, Jacob learned valuable intelligence. The Krylos Dominion was planning an invasion of several human colonies near the border, intending to annex them under the guise of civilizing their populations. The Zentari Collective faced internal dissent, with factions questioning their leadership's decisions. And the Vorin hegemony, though outwardly strong, relied heavily on outdated technology that could be exploited. Armed with this knowledge, Jacob returned to Earth, his mind racing with possibilities. He met with Emily Dawson and Admiral William Grant in a secure briefing room, sharing everything he had discovered. "The clock is ticking," Jacob said, his voice urgent. "If we don't act soon, the Krylos will strike. They'll use this as an excuse to crush us completely." Emily exchanged a glance with the Admiral. "Then we'll hit them first," she said firmly. "We'll show them what happens when they underestimate us." Admiral Grant nodded, his expression grim but resolute. "Prepare the fleet. We'll defend our colonies and send a message to the rest of the galaxy." As the meeting ended, Jacob felt a surge of hope. Humanity had been dismissed as weak and primitive, but now it stood on the brink of proving otherwise. With allies in the shadows and a fleet ready to fight, Earth was no longer defenseless. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change everything. The day had finally arrived. The Eclipse *, humanity's first prototype Dreadnought, was ready for its maiden voyage. Emily Dawson stood on the command deck, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Around her, the crew bustled about, running final checks on the ship's systems. Nathan Brooks, who had spent countless hours perfecting the vessel's robotics, gave her a thumbs up from across the room. "All systems green," he said, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. Emily nodded, then turned to address the small team assembled aboard the ship. "This is it," she said, her tone firm but encouraging. "We've worked hard to get here. Let's make sure we do this right." The crew responded with quiet determination. Among them was Sarah Blake, a skilled pilot chosen to helm the Eclipse * during its test flight. She took her seat at the controls, her hands moving deftly over the console as she initiated launch protocols. The engines hummed to life, vibrating through the hull, and moments later, the ship broke free of Earth's orbit. As the Eclipse * soared into the vastness of space, the team began testing its capabilities. The faster-than-light drive, one of the ship's most ambitious features, was activated for the first time. The stars outside blurred into streaks of light as the vessel accelerated beyond anything humanity had achieved before. Cheers erupted on the command deck, but Emily quickly reminded everyone to stay focused. "We're not done yet," she said. "Let's push it further." For hours, the team conducted a series of trials, pushing the ship to its limits. The experimental weapons systems fired simulated shots at distant asteroids, reducing them to dust. The defensive shields held firm against mock attacks, proving their resilience. Everything seemed to be working perfectly until the sensors picked up an unexpected signal. "There's something out there," Nathan announced, his voice tinged with unease. He brought up the readings on the main display. A small, sleek vessel was trailing them at a distance, its movements cautious but deliberate. Sarah frowned as she studied the ship. "It's not one of ours," she said. "Could it be?" Emily's stomach sank. "A scout," she finished grimly. It didn't take long to identify the craft. It belonged to the Krylos Dominion. Somehow, they had detected the *Eclipse*, whether by accident or design. The presence of the alien ship posed a serious threat. If the Krylos reported back to their empire, humanity's secret might be exposed. "Activate stealth protocols," Emily ordered. "We can't let them see us." Nathan sprang into action, rerouting power to the ship's cloaking system. The *Eclipse's outline shimmered and faded from view, disappearing against the backdrop of space. Meanwhile, Sarah adjusted their course, taking the ship on a wide arc to evade the scout. For several tense minutes, the crew held their breath, watching as the alien vessel lingered nearby, seemingly unsure of where the *Eclipse* had gone. Finally, the scout turned and sped away, vanishing into the depths of space. The immediate danger had passed, but the incident left everyone shaken. Emily gathered the team in the briefing room to discuss what had happened. "We were lucky this time," she said, her expression grave. "But we can't count on luck forever. If the Krylos know about us, they'll come looking. We need to accelerate our plans." Nathan nodded in agreement. "They won't expect this kind of tech from us. That's our edge. But we got to act fast." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes sharp with resolve. "Then let's show them what we're made of. Next time they see us, it won't be by accident." The mood shifted as the team rallied around the challenge ahead. The encounter with the scout had been a wake-up call, but it also reinforced their purpose. Humanity couldn't afford to wait any longer. The *Eclipse* was just the beginning. A single ship in what would soon become a fleet capable of defending Earth and proving its strength to the galaxy. As the Dreadnought returned to its hidden facility, Emily felt a renewed sense of urgency. The pieces were falling into place, but the clock was ticking. The three empires had underestimated humanity once. They wouldn't get the chance to do it again. Deep within the confines of a hidden orbital facility, Emily Dawson worked tirelessly alongside her team. The air hummed with the sound of machinery and quiet conversations as scientists and engineers moved between workstations. Project Aegis was their lifeline, a chance to prove humanity's worth in a galaxy that dismissed them as insignificant. Emily knew the stakes were high, but she also knew failure wasn't an option. Nathan Brooks stood nearby, his hands buried in the guts of a robotic assembly unit. His dark hair was tousled, and his face bore streaks of grease, but his focus never wavered. "We're close," he muttered to Emily as she approached. "The propulsion system is almost ready for testing." Emily nodded, though her expression remained serious. "Good. We need to move fast. If word gets out about what we're doing here, the empires might try to stop us." Her words carried weight. Secrecy was key. The facility itself was located in Earth's shadow, hidden from prying eyes by layers of advanced shielding. Only a handful of people outside the project even knew it existed. Funding came through classified channels, ensuring no trail could lead back to the UEDF. Still, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Jacob Hayes visited the facility often, eager to understand the progress being made. Though he lacked technical expertise, his presence provided a morale boost to the team. He admired their dedication, watching as they solved complex problems with determination and ingenuity. One day, he pulled Emily aside after observing a particularly heated debate about energy distribution systems. "How can I help?" Jacob asked earnestly. "I feel useless just standing around." Emily thought for a moment before responding. "You've got connections, Jacob. People trust you. Use that. Talk to anyone who might support us, politicians, business leaders, even ordinary citizens. We'll need all the backing we can get when the time comes." Jacob nodded, grateful for the direction. He began reaching out to influential figures across Earth, sharing glimpses of the project without revealing too much. Many were skeptical at first, but Jacob's passion won them over. Slowly, a network of allies began to form, providing both resources and moral support. Back at the facility, the team faced numerous challenges. The experimental weapons systems required fine-tuning, and the faster-than-light drives pushed the limits of human engineering. Rachel Meyer, the propulsion specialist, spent countless hours tweaking the engines to ensure they wouldn't overload during activation. Her hands trembled with exhaustion, but she refused to step away until the job was done. One evening, as the team prepared for another round of tests, Nathan called everyone together. "Listen up," he said, raising his voice slightly to be heard over the din. "We're making history here. No matter how hard it gets, remember why we're doing this. Those empires think we're nothing. Let's show them they're wrong." His words resonated deeply with the group. For many, this project was personal. They had families, friends, and loved ones counting on them to secure a better future. Each late night and every sacrifice felt worth it when they imagined humanity standing tall among the stars. Finally, after months of relentless effort, the first prototype Dreadnought took shape. It was a massive vessel, sleek and imposing, with sharp angles designed to intimidate as much as inspire. The ship's name, *Eclipse*, was painted boldly along its side, a symbol of humanity's rise from obscurity. Emily gathered the team on the observation deck, gazing down at the completed ship with a mix of pride and apprehension. "This is just the beginning," she said softly. "There's still so much to do, but today, let's celebrate what we've achieved." As cheers erupted around her, Emily allowed herself a rare smile. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but for the first time, she truly believed humanity had a fighting chance. Somewhere out there, the Krylos Dominion, the Zentari Collective, and the Vorin hegemony continued to mock Earth's supposed weakness. Soon, they would learn just how wrong they were. In a distant corner of the universe, humanity had carved out a fragile foothold among the stars. Despite their efforts to expand and explore, they remained an isolated species, looked down upon by the more advanced civilizations that dominated the galaxy. Three powerful empires, the Krylos Dominion, the Zentari Collective, and the Vorin hegemony, ruled over vast regions of space. To them, Earth was nothing more than a backward planet, its people primitive and unworthy of attention. Jacob Hayes stood nervously in front of a massive assembly hall on the planet Altherus Prime. The room buzzed with quiet murmurs as representatives from the three empires took their seats. Jacob, a young diplomat chosen to represent Earth, felt the weight of his mission pressing down on him. His task was simple yet daunting: convince the Galactic Council to recognize humanity as equals. He adjusted his suit, took a deep breath, and stepped up to the podium. The audience was not kind. As Jacob began speaking, explaining Earth's achievements and aspirations, some delegates snickered. Others openly rolled their eyes or whispered insults to their neighbors. One ambassador from the Krylos Dominion even laughed loudly, interrupting Jacob mid-sentence. "Primitive creatures like you shouldn't waste our time," the ambassador sneered. "Your ships are slow, your weapons outdated, and your technology laughable. Why should we bother listening?" Jacob clenched his fists but forced himself to remain calm. He continued his speech, highlighting humanity's resilience, creativity, and potential. But no matter how passionately he spoke, the response was always the same: disdain. By the end of his presentation, the chamber erupted into mocking applause. Jacob left the stage feeling defeated, his cheeks burning with shame. Back on Earth, news of the humiliation spread quickly. Emily Dawson, a brilliant astrophysicist working with the United Earth Defense Force, UEDF, watched footage of the event on her office monitor. Her jaw tightened as she saw Jacob's face fall under the barrage of insults. She turned to her colleague, Nathan Brooks, who sat nearby tinkering with a piece of machinery. "Did you see this?" she asked, gesturing toward the screen. Nathan nodded grimly. "Yeah, it's bad. They think we're weak." Emily shook her head. "We can't let them keep thinking that. We've got to show them what we're capable of." For weeks, Emily had been quietly leading a secret project called Aegis. Hidden in a remote orbital facility, the project aimed to construct a fleet of advanced warships unlike anything humanity had ever built. These dreadnoughts would be equipped with experimental weapon systems, faster than light engines, and cutting-edge defensive measures. If successful, they could change everything. Determined to push forward, Emily approached Admiral William Grant, the head of the UEDF. She explained her vision for the project and requested additional resources. At first, the Admiral was skeptical. "Do you really think we can pull this off?" he asked. "These empires have centuries of technological advancement on us." Emily met his gaze steadily. "They underestimate us because they don't understand us. That's our advantage. Give me the chance to prove it." Admiral Grant studied her for a moment before nodding slowly. "All right, Dr. Dawson. You've got my support. But make no mistake, if this fails, it's on you." With renewed determination, Emily threw herself into the work. She assembled a team of the brightest minds available, including Nathan, whose expertise in robotics would be crucial. Together, they labored day and night, pouring every ounce of effort into building the first prototype dreadnought. Though progress was slow and fraught with challenges, Emily refused to give up. Every setback only fueled her resolve. Meanwhile, Jacob returned to Earth, still reeling from the rejection he'd faced at the council meeting. Feeling useless, he sought out Emily, hoping to find answers, or at least a sense of purpose. When she showed him the facility and explained the scope of Project Aegis, something inside him reignited. For the first time since Altherus Prime, Jacob felt a spark of hope. Humanity might have been dismissed as primitive, but it wasn't about to stay that way forever.